Hello and welcome back to the Back of a Band podcast. I'm your host, Charlie Walden, and also journalist and owner of Spy Media, Chesterfield Run Media Company. I'm asking you today, why you're not watching, why you're not listening to the Back of a Band podcast.
Oh, don't get all high and mighty, LaRusso. It was your student work, Diaz. You reap what you sow.
We're on Spotify, we're on YouTube, we're on iTunes, we're on Google Podcasts. What are you doing?
I sat down with Rick Astley.
Want me in your LLC because I'm going to pull pranks on your employees.
Nah, I thought that was my only problem. Like, that's a bit too unrealistic.
Every Friday, me and John McGlade chop it up. We have an occasional chat about what's going on in the world. Anything you can think of, we're talking about it.
And I was honored to be part of that, man. It was really a lot of fun.
He's always been drunk, man. I was in a fight.
Would you say you miss being like in the field of a journalist?
And maybe it was terrible, I don't know, but like I just love it all, really. I get into so many different genres.
We have guests on, occasional guests. You got that could be going from Cobra Kai actors to journalists across the world, and also, of course, some interesting stories, and most importantly, good laughs.
In fact, one of my favourite, I'm wearing a Cobra Kai even hoodie here.
Yeah.
Don't forget to listen and watch the Back of a Band podcast. Lovely. Well, we're back for another episode, and today, happy to say, one of my good friends, or more importantly, MMA fighter, fitness and functional maniac, Ben Kellock, also joins the pod. Ben, how you doing, mate?
I'm very good, mate. I'm excited to make my Back with a Bang debut. Excited for it.
Yeah, no, yesterday we've done a few interviews before the podcast, sort of a college work and sort of Spy Media. So it's actually first podcast introduction, which is pretty crazy. And I mean, we've been on your journey on MMA before. I mean, what I would ask is, from the start, since Parada's shut, what's your life been like? If anyone doesn't know, Parada was mine and Ben's old MMA gym in Chesterfield. It shut in late 2021. So let's just literally deep dive into it. I mean, since that shut, what's your life been like?
So obviously, first of all, the gym shut was, I think, pretty tough for everyone. Obviously, you spend 22 hours a week in that gym, in that building, surrounded by just your brother and your brotherhood. So obviously, when that gym shut, and it shut pretty quickly, and that's like a massive void in my life, just like needed filling. So obviously, I did the only thing that I know what to do, which is just fucking grinding, mate. So took to the gym, took to running, smashed my S&C, built myself into a better athlete. My mindset changed. My whole hormone profile of my body changed. I feel like I grew into a man, like mentally and physically. So just been getting after it, mate. Just being, on the Goggins train, just staying hard.
Do you think your direction changed in your life a little bit when the gym sort of shut? I mean, definitely did for me.
Yeah.
I took a spell. We know how far I was, but I mean, for you, did the direction in your life change a little bit?
I think so, mate. Like I said, every night you've got, no matter how shit your day's been, how good your day's been, there's a 3-hour block in that day, which is training at Parada, which is getting to Parada, training with your brothers, sparring with a fight to prep for. And then that's why obviously we stepped up for that short notice fight when I didn't have a team backing me, and there was no I didn't train MMA for months and months, 2 weight divisions above. I had no corner team. I called up obviously yourself, which is a great friend of mine. It was like that sort of stuff. I had too much built up energy. I wasn't looking for fights, but
that was a crazy experience, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was a bit more combative. I needed, as a young hungry lad, you need combat sports just to vent and purge. And then when that's took away from you, obviously I went down to a different jiu-jitsu gym and boxing and that. But I've never been able to. Obviously, they're great people down there, and I appreciate the rounds. But Parada's my family, and like Parada's like may as well be my blood. You know what I mean? So nothing's ever been quite the same as that.
You say it's a void you've not been able to fill. Then is that fair?
I'd say I've done the best job I could have. I did have a slap lesion tear in my shoulder, and in the meantime, my Parada shutting. I had a broken nose, slap lesion tear, and then obviously my new.
I mean that shoulder injury. I mean, you were still training relentlessly. That's quite a serious injury when I actually looked into it. You were training relentlessly, still working around it. I mean, you couldn't do any jiu-jitsu. Was it for like 6 to 8 months? I think you sent to jail.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how did you find that?
Oh, mate, that was horrendous. So obviously, you boys will know I lat raise in the gym. I don't really do lat raises, but I couldn't lat raise a hand towel. It was that bad. So I couldn't even I think it's called a duck to your elbow. I couldn't even do that with a hand towel. That's how bad the injury was. And obviously, boxing, throwing any shot that came like a shovel hook or a hook or an uppercut, any shot that wasn't a straight shot gave it a lot of problems. So that wasn't great either because you're trying to purge and you got this energy you want to release with all this shit that goes on. And then obviously, then you got a shoulder injury, and then shoulder injury goes, get back grappling. I think it was my first sessions back with Kev, or my first few sessions back with Kev. Ended up slamming someone, bounced off the mat, crunch, broken nose. So it was just typical that those injuries sort of built up.
I mean,
did all them injuries like affect you mentally, Ben? Like, you know, because obviously you're such an active lad. Like, so did that like kind of put you down for a bit?
It depends on me by affect me mentally. If it didn't upset me, you know what I mean. I'm not gonna go home and cry about it. But it pissed me off. You know what I mean. I'm like, I want to get after it. And I want to have a stay hard lifestyle. And then my fucking shoulders broke, and then it's really hard. And I'm in my lounge doing these naff exercises, trying to build my shoulder back up. And they weren't naff exercises. You know, if you looked at them, you would think they'd have like no stimulus in your body at all. They were pathetic. And then they didn't even work. So I researched it myself, built it up, and now it's stronger than ever. It's a strong shoulder now, so it's all right.
Am I right in saying they said you probably would need surgery for that shoulder?
They did, mate, yeah. I think it was locking.
So you know, you beat the system then.
Of course I did, mate. I always beat the system. Whether that's the educational system or the shoulder system, I beat them all.
I mean, you were so frustrated in that period. I mean, if you remember, me, you, and Pat, another training partner of ours, we did a session in the field that time. You remember? And I was trying to pad Ben, and he was just losing his temper. I was like, "Fuck this! I'm getting out of harm's way." I give it Pat. Pat just catches an elbow during the pads. I can just tell how frustrated you was. You were like, there was so much pent up. So, and you seem one of them guys. If I'm correct, you just need to get energy out some way, some form. You can't be resting. You can't be sitting doing nothing. I imagine you're going to do something after this.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've already trained twice today, so I probably won't. I might do some push-ups, but unless we all get out. But no, yeah, it's stressful, bro. I remember that pad session as well. I'm sure Pat remembers it. I remember the elbow we got caught with. I'm sorry, Pat, but no, mate, I've got a lot of energy. You know what I mean? And it's dangerous because when you've not everyone's the same. You know what I mean? Some people are more pissed off than others. Some people are pissed off at things that's happening in their life, and the way I deal with it was just fighting and grinding and getting after it. And then obviously when that's took away from you and you've got a shoulder injury, and then usually things would be like, oh yeah, you just someone's pissing you off at sound, you got training later. You know, when you can't train, it's not good, bro. It's not good. And that's why I find it bizarre that there's some guys and girls out there that have never trained a day in their life. Like for me, how do you cope with stuff? They probably vape the pain away or something naff like that. But like, how do they cope with things in their life if they just never train and they never get after it? For me, that's bizarre.
Like, I just don't understand what people like do in a day. You know, if they don't have like that void to fill in that time, like what can you possibly do? Like, it's just I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
But they vape, mate. That's what they do.
What do you make of that, Ben? Because I mean, that's something obviously the government. Not to get too political on this, but I mean that's obviously the government trying to crack down on. With the underage vaping. I mean, I in Manchester, for example, when I'm walking to the train station, I walk past honestly kids no older than 13 with a vape in their mouth. A vaping. I mean, I vape. I'll admit I vape. You brutalised me for it, but
wait, not vape or you vape.
I've tried a vape. I don't vape.
You've tried it.
I wish you know. You've seen me and you brutalised me for it, rightfully so. But there's kids sort of 13 years of age walking around with vapes in their mouth and cigarettes. I mean, what do you make of the whole vaping crisis? Because it's balmy, isn't it?
The vaping crisis, mate, is potentially socially engineered on purpose. They're pink, they're colourful, they're probably green as well. No, I don't touch them, but they're targeted towards children and kids, and are attractive towards kids because they're so colourful and almost infantile. And obviously they're so addictive as well. And I'm kind of known, mate, obviously in my circle of boys or whatever, they all know I'm the guy who dislikes drugs, dislikes vaping. So I think they always feel a bit guilty when they're tugging it around me. But mate, I confiscate them, bro. There's been many occasions when I'm with a bird or I'm with a guy and they've got a vape, especially if they bring it into my house and it just randomly goes missing and it goes in the bin. Because I don't like it. It's disgusting. You devalue yourself. You know, if someone's trying to tell me they're pretty big bollocks and they get out a vape, I'm like, you're tugging on a little fruit stick. Like, do you know what I mean? You're pathetic.
No, I do agree. I mean, it is crazy. I mean, do you see that as well? You just see kids as young as sort of 13 and 12 walking around in vapes and sort of chilling in parks and just literally just sat there vaping, thinking they're the 10 men. I mean, you obviously when you were 13, you were double-legged adults in the gym.
that's it, bro. When I was 13, I was a little bad motherfucker, but I still am. But no, yeah, that's it. I watched your last podcast, and it was on about when we were kids, it was like playing manhunt or bulldog, or having a game of tap, or getting the gloves out and going at it in garden. And then it's now, mate, they sit in a bandstand and they get some Nicky salts or something like that, and they just tugging it and get a little rush in their head and think they're the man. It's pathetic, bro. It's awful.
Oh, I know this is something you're quite passionate about as well. I obviously you did like a 2-week detox, heading the phone, scrolling. I mean, I'm bad for this, but I'm a journalist, so I give myself a pass a little bit. Scrolling's a real big issue, isn't it?
Mate, scrolling is the work of the devil, man. It's what's happened is slowly through, obviously, not to get conspiracy like, but I'm going to go for it. All through time, information's been slowly chopped up smaller and smaller and smaller, and that's had a big effect on our attention span. And now obviously there's like an attention span deficit, which is just it's obvious when you look at primary school and school, and especially through lockdown when no one had a choice but to open a phone. And it starts with newspapers, then it went tabloid to single column to YouTube videos, and then now it's shorts. And then now you'll scroll through something, and maybe 5 years ago you would have given the first 10 seconds the benefit of the doubt. Now we're lucky if we give it the first second the benefit of the doubt. We scroll past it, and if you did 10 scrolls now and name the last 10 things you saw, you don't have a clue. And it's shocking for your dopamine system, and it's shocking for your psyche.
Yeah. What are you like with scrolling, Joe? We had the conversation before. What are you pretty good?
I'm quite bad now because like I don't go on like YouTube or anything as much now. So I usually just whip open my phone and go and have like a through scrolls on TikTok. But then you do get like the obviously like badass motivation videos and everything. So like you do get that side of it if you're on it. But I just usually scroll through for like half an hour or something just to pass some time on, and then that's it. So I'd say I'm quite bad at it.
What's your general screen time, Ben? Like in a day, do you ever have a look at it? I mean, I've been looking at it more recently, trying to cut it down.
I could have a look right now.
Yeah, have a look. I mean, I'm gonna go for a better like 4 hours a day average.
3 hours and 20 minutes.
I'm gonna go for that.
Boys, I don't know about that. Let's have a look.
Actually, if you're there, he's got people to keep occupied. So I don't know if it is that low.
Thing is, if you are scrolling, you might be lucky. You might stumble like 3 hours 32 minutes.
That's insane, bro. That's actually so impressive.
Innit? Holy shit.
You might be lucky if you're scrolling one day and you scroll past controlled aggression, one of them shorts. Those shorts are all right. Those shorts will motivate you and they'll get you doing 20 push-ups. But when it's these other shorts, it's like I said, it's entertaining. But once I finish watching them, my head feels, I don't know how to describe it. It feels full. It doesn't feel good. It feels almost headachy.
Yeah, no, me too. I don't think for me is my fingers start to hurt. I don't know if you have that, but my fingers have started to like ache a little bit. And just on the shameless plug as well there, controlled aggression. Obviously your page, your motivational page and sort of fitness page, whatever, sort of that we get the right gist of answer. That's sort of the goal page. What sort of inspired you to make that? Can you put some real detail into that and some really good editing as well?
Yeah, I'd like to first say that I keep getting locked out of the account, which is a bit bollocks because it's a system attacking me, mate. No, it's just annoying because obviously, yeah. So I'll go into control aggression first. So to blow my own trumpet, obviously I've helped many lads out. There's a lot of lads who I could name who have totally changed their life around, not just in terms of physical fitness but mindset.
Definitely me. Definitely put me on that one.
Yeah, the approach, how they speak to people, the sort of man they are. And that's because obviously there's just a lack of masculinity and male role models. So controlled aggression was basically calling out the shit in society, not glamorizing being obese or not glamorizing vaping, but glamorizing the grind and getting after it and looking after your body, looking after your psyche. And I just thought rather than sticking it all on my own account, keep my own account a little bit more personal and just so it doesn't get cancelled and taken down, which would be crap. And then instead use my controlled aggression one as an insurance so I can put what I want on there.
How far do you want to take this controlled aggression, Ben?
Honestly, not like it's not my priority in life. The reason it's fallen off a bit is because in my own life there's we had a medical blip, and then we had my plan that I was going for. Without getting into it, something happened. So then that really threw me off, and I started really focusing on that instead, which obviously is priority. But when that's sorted, obviously controlled aggression, I'll start smashing it. And you know what? It's just interesting using my own content creation. You know what I mean? Like getting better at it. putting things out there, and it's one of them now where back in the day you'd have a library, and that library would be the archive of information, and people know your legacy and what you did. It could all be in a book somewhere. Now it's on the internet, so that will always be there. When if everything goes to shit and everyone just goes soft, people will know. At least I was putting like things out there trying to help people, and then one day they might go on, they might be on someone's explore page or whatever, and it could motivate them to change their life around. So why not?
What reaction have you had to that from your friends and that, the controlled aggression? And people, obviously, when you was at sixth form as well, I mean, what reaction have you had to that? I know obviously sometimes your sort of opinions would differ with people that you would knock about with at sixth form.
My sort of world views at sixth form didn't match with the world views that were getting stuck in everyone by all sorts of, by the government or social media or whatever. So my mum was always, called in. Obviously I don't really think St. Mary's upheld freedom of speech always. So I was getting called in for my views online, which obviously they were never extreme. I was telling people to get after it. I was telling people to stop glamorizing obesity, which obviously whoever flagged that up must have had an insecurity because perhaps they were obese and they felt the need that I was being whatever, and I ended up getting reported to school for me telling people to get after it and change their life around.
The problem is, Ben, sorry to interrupt. People mistake nowadays motivation for misogynism when it's not misogynism. It's motivation. It's trying to get people to do better in their life, because the facts are clear. If you're fat and you've got high blood pressure, like you've got different issues. I mean, when I was built like an house saying last year, when I had no end of health issues going on. I mean, you look at me, I was a pig, and I had with the high blood pressure, I had pains in my legs, my arms. If you're obese, you can't tell me you're not getting any of those problems. So people really do mistake motivation for misogynism, and I think that's probably the case. What's happened there as well.
I agree, mate. And I was getting. I don't expect people to understand me. Like you're saying, like obviously with me, it's one of them where being liked is cool. I'd rather be respected. You know what I mean? And throughout school, it was one of them where there was no one else really like me at school. Obviously, like we were saying, when people are 13-year-old at school, they're on a bandstand hitting a vape. When I was 13, I was in a fight team, grinding 22 hours a week, fighting on regional shows, knocking people out in a boxing ring. So I don't expect those people to try and understand me. But obviously, it's going to be the 99% versus the 1%. So, like I said, I think at school people respected the grind. They respected me fighting and that. But there was a lot of haters. And funnily enough, no haters ever said it to my face. It was always behind my back or people making rumours up. And those people that start rumours, I just say don't get in striking range. That's my message.
I mean, you have to be careful with the social media trap, because there is, especially nowadays, there's so much people can say over social media and sort of disrespect. I mean, I can remember once, I don't know if you've ever seen this, Joe or Ben. Curtis Blaze got knocked out by I think it was Derek Lewis, and some randomer got hold of his number. And it sounds a bit funny saying it, but it's not. The next morning, they FaceTime him. Derek Lewis answers like, "Who the fuck's this?" And like, "You got knocked the fuck out, bitch." Fingers up to Curtis Blaze. I'm like, I mean, you would never do that to his face. I mean, it is a bit funny. Because Derek Lewis is like, what the fuck's going on? But it's things like that. You would never say that to that guy's face. I mean, people, social media gives people a chance to be so disrespectful to people that they wouldn't
People
be.
thrive on it. Don't the people thrive on it behind a computer screen, like talking shit and that? They just love it. Like they just love causing trouble behind the screen, but they wouldn't do it in real life at home. They'd be terrified.
As a fighter, Ben, do you ever have people over social media sort of coming after you, but then you actually take a look at the page and you realise there's actually a stick compared to you when you actually.
I do, mate. Yeah, I think being a fighter, people, it's a deterrent. When you're a fighter, you don't even have to fight. It's your name and your skills speak for itself, and no one's going to want to fuck with you. I definitely think, so being, I definitely think now I put more size on. It's weird because obviously the casual mind see it as, oh, this guy's, he's 6'2", he's athletically built and he's a fighter. Yeah, I'm fucked. Whereas back in the day, I think people would. The casual mind, they just see size as like if someone saw Sebum on myself, everyone's going to put like the mortgage on Sebum. You know what I mean? Because all these casuals see it as size. So I definitely noticed since I put size on, a lot less people have been chirping online. But I've always said to them, I've always gone, I'm telling you, it's like 14-year-old me would slap you up. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I've definitely noticed people don't chirp, and there's not as much people, random people in my DMs and that giving me shit. But then equally, on social media, I'm outspoken. I comment on posts all the time. If I see someone giving shit to a fighter, I'm gonna back that fighter. So it does come with some message requests, but the whole point is they're my requests, in it. That's a little beggy move, and they'll get slapped up anyway. So I sleep perfectly fine at night when there's people chirping me.
With the MMA stuff, I know we'll move a little bit back on to sort of the fighting and the fitness stuff. Now you have put on the size. I mean, you're in incredible shape, saying this all the time, and anyone that looks at your socials will see it. I mean, you said it as well, Joe. I mean, absolutely ridiculous. I was saying a couple of podcasts ago, machine as the word they describe. Now you're in this size and you're 6'2", which I can't believe I'm saying. But when I first met you, 13-year-old, and he was like half my size and still dumping in my head. Trying to think what would happen now. Now you're 6'2". What do you feel more confident that you could do some serious damage even more in there now when you get back in?
Definitely, mate. I only put 6'2" in because all the girls think I'm like 5'10", which always pisses me off. But no, anyway, yeah, about me having size on. Yeah, it's definitely being a bigger guy, and like I said, I've come into a man's body, and my whole hormonal profile would have changed and everything. So I do feel more, even just being like, for me right now, there'll be nothing I'd love more than being in that locker room ready to walk out. Because I just feel more.
Do you miss it?
Say again, sorry.
Do you miss all that MMA stuff, the fighting and the camps?
Absolutely, mate. Which is obviously we spoke about a sort of like a potential like cut sort of thing, and that's what I'm saying. I would have never thought about that back in the day, but now my whole psyche's changed towards it, and yeah, being a more athletic guy certainly helps. I know when I'm jiu-jitsu rounds and that guys who might have the strength edge, I've now got the strength edge, the power edge, the cardio. I've got the engine, the gas tank. So obviously being an athletic guy with strength and size is just an advantage and a perk in life.
No, definitely, 100%. I mean, if he was to return, I mean, not to give away your whole weight, what you're weighing at now, but what weight division would you be looking at? Because I suggested a featherweight fight, I think, a couple of months ago or a month ago, and he was like, "Bro, what the fuck are you talking about?" You know,
a featherweight fight, I'll have to chop off my bloody neck to even featherweight. Yeah, not a featherweight. It's exciting, mate, because next time I'm fighting, I'll be one of the big boys on the card. It'll be obviously, rather than being a little flyweight or a little bantamweight, or even in boxing back then it was like a little pinweight and I was still knocking folk out. Now you're coming through as I'd ideally want somewhat of a catch weight between 70 and 77. But obviously I'd be comfortable hanging with the guys at 77. Or equally, if I took a short notice, well, I'd mate, you know me, I'd fight anyway. I'm not, weight doesn't bother me. Who it is doesn't bother me. It's not something that I really think about. For me, it's just getting out there, being primitive, sticking it on with my skill set and performing in it. So the weight's not massive for me. I'd fight a load of weights. I mean, when I stepped up to fight Kai Hanshaw short notice, that was my third weight division in
also 9, a good fighter.
I believe. Yeah, good fighter. That was my third weight division in 9 months, and I was 16. You know what I mean? I don't care, man. I'll turn up and I'll fight.
I think we talked about this on the last one, Ben. Like, do you think some people are like just built to fight? Like, obviously, like you talk about it with so much passion, and how you look forward to it and everything. Do you just think it's like built in some people?
Yes, but I do think there can always be something which can get it out of someone. Obviously, at the end of the day, we're very domesticated, but we're all animals. If someone steps on your land, or someone steps to your mom, or someone steps to your boys, then we've all got testosterone. We're all gonna plant our feet and we're all gonna fight. I mean, I'm talking about fighting now like it's this big glamorous thing. Obviously, when you're sat in the bath making weight, or when you're just about to walk out, like, yeah, you are scared. It's there might be some guys out there that aren't scared, but everyone can do it. It's just in here. You know what I mean? It's there's probably more guys who are made to fight, but equally, I think everyone can fight, and I think everyone should fight, whether that's a white collar, whether that's just getting stuck in with some sparring, or professional. Just get stuck in, and it will change your life for the better.
Definitely, and I think Dana White said it best. Fighting's natural. If there's a fight down the road, do you want to go and watch it? Some lads start fighting across the street. I'm going over to watch that fight. Fighting's natural, and I think you'll bang on with that. It's unlocking it in people. I mean, just to touch on another friend of ours, obviously Logan. When he was at Parada, obviously he always trained and always get game and would come after it. But the mindset was different, and that fighting mindset wasn't there. I mean, he's got after it with you. I mean, anyone that follows Ben's socials will see Ben and Logan is doing everything, in anything, fucking anything. Them guys. Talk to me about his mindset change. since working with you in the gym. I mean, a completely different animal when I met him, and you can completely tell the mindset switch. And I mean, if he was to start training MMA now, he'd be a bad dude, I think.
So Logan went from 89 kg to 71 on lean muscle, and then now he's at 75, and he's still potentially lower body fat than I am. So obviously, like Logan McLennan is getting after it, and he's making his family proud. He's making himself proud. He's set himself a very tough goal, and the guy's getting after it. And like I said, it's just waking up one day and pursuing change. That's what it is. It could be one speech, it could be a load of things, and like we said, there is fighting where you have to plant your feet and you have to fight. But then there's also attacking a workout, or attacking a tough assignment, or attacking a job interview. You know what I mean? And even controlled aggression. That the whole point of the name was about that. Harnessing this aggression we've got and attacking things with it. So obviously Logan McLennan is just he's changed his life around. He's changed his social life around, his romantic life around, his gym life around. So yeah, well done, Logan. We're all proud of you.
Will you take Joe under your wing, fucking Ben? Will you take Joe under your wing?
Mate, I can take anyone under my wing. I have a lot of love for Joe.
No, I think it'd be a lot of improvement, Ben.
It would.
It's someone there calling you out your bullshit and throwing you out your comfort zone, but not just someone who's not going to do it themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, you surround yourself with people who are like, oh, I'll do that. And then when they do it themselves, you're like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, why not? What's worse that can happen? You get stuck in, and it's character building, and it's all for the better.
Definitely. I mean, would you ever be interested in coaching? I mean, I did your sessions at Pro, and I used to love them. I used to make sure I didn't miss any, and I thought they were brilliant. I mean, obviously, what you've done with Logan and Liam as well, who deserves a little bit of a mention for the work he's done, and your mate Elliot as well, who you did it together with. Would you be interested in coaching? Because I feel like you'd be such a great at it, and you would literally put in some serious business as well.
Yeah, mate, I'm especially fighting. Obviously, my MMA class was. It wasn't about me making money. It was purely about getting lads stuck in. And like Kev, my head coach Kev put on that post, making training men into real men, or he put something along those lines. And that's what my class was about. It wasn't, I'm going to pussyfoot around you and I'm going to, bitch about your feelings. It was like, no, we're going to grind. You know what I mean? We're going to glove up. We're going to do some short, efficient drills. We're going to move these drills into some tough strength and conditioning. And after that session, everyone was tired, knackered, but they came back the next week. And there's some guys who came to my class now who really enjoyed it, got half decent, and now there. I know there's one lad, for example, who's he was training with Bert, doing PTs with Bert, one of my training partners and one of my brothers. So it just shows that class was a great stepping stone into getting guys to get after it. And I know for a fact if I did that class now, there'd be triple the numbers. And I really enjoyed coaching. But obviously, I think MMA, like me and Joe spoke about last time, MMA's blown up that much now that people know it's legit and people want to do it. So if I redid the class, all I need is a venue, and that's pretty much it. You know what I mean? I'll do it for free. I don't care. I just like to see people do better.
In a few years, Ben, like when you're a bit older, would you like to probably imagine to open your own MMA gym? Like you said, obviously it's blown up as much now. Would you ever like to possibly own one in the future?
I would, mate. Yeah, definitely, or co-own one, or have a group of lads in on it. I think it's obviously it's tough running a gym, right? But no, definitely, I think it's leaving a legacy, right? Obviously, like Kev went and began Parada, and look what Kev's done to me, and it's a domino effect. Then look what I'm doing to the likes of Liam or Logan or other lads that I've helped, and they're lads that I really had under my wing. But then there's lads who message me, message requests. Hiya, mate. I saw your post about getting into the gym. I saw your post about getting after it. I'm now doing this. Or I've now started this, and they're not rare. You know what I mean? They're common messages I get. So having a gym and seeing it firsthand, I think that'd be fantastic. Oh,
definitely. And we mentioned Kev. I mean, it'd be very difficult not to mention him. He's such an influential part in your life and definitely in mine. His whole mindset and his teaching. I mean, talk to me about your relationship with Kev. I mean, it's been a up and down over the years for sure, but there's a post you put on your socials, and it really struck me. He's always been by your side at the end of the day.
Yeah, I had this big epiphany, I believe is the right term, and I just remember thinking, like, fuck, I need to put out there my sort of appreciation I've got for Kev. Obviously, there was a lot of years.
Talk about your first meeting with Kev. When did you first meet Kev?
When did I first meet Kev?
Talk about your first meeting with Kev, and then go from there.
My first meeting with Kev was at 53 degrees, I believe. and I was striking, and he was like, obviously I took a shine to him. I like how, you know, blunt, no, not blunt, what's the word I'm thinking of?
Honest and raw, really.
Honest, I mean raw, I was thinking the word I was thinking of. Not blunt, apologise, Kev, don't punch me. And I remember him saying to me, he might not remember this, but he was going, start training jiu-jitsu, you'd be a good fighter, start training jiu-jitsu. And I was thinking, I'm not doing that, sort of rolling on the floor. I was like, fuck that, I want to glove up and go. Yeah, I was like, what even is that? You know what I mean? You think it's some like Aikido or something. And then he kept telling me, and I never really paid attention. And I was boxing at the time, did some Muay Thai with Kev, and then, you know, one day he opened his own gym and he messaged me saying, come down. And that was my 14th birthday, the gym opened, Parada opened, and I came down. And I was still doing a bit of striking. I still had some boxing matches at the time, which I was training for, and Kev padded me. And then it started being like I was boxing, you know, 5 days a week. And then within 2 weeks of being with Kev, it was like I was at boxing once a week to show my face. And then the 4 days of the week, or 6 days of the week, I was with Kev. And then eventually I was like, yeah, you know what I mean? Kev's my coach, you know what I mean?
Definitely. And I mean, how has that relationship evolved sort of over time and over the years? He's been a massive sort of, say, a father figure, if I'm correct as well, going as you grow up.
Kev stepped up to be my father figure when I didn't have a father in the life at a certain period in time. So Kev brought me up. It wasn't just a time we used to spend on the mats. It was, you know, he'd take me out for a drive, or he'd take me for a Costa, or we'd get some food together, or we'd go for a meal out. And even there's things now which I tell my mates, and I in my head, that's come from Kev. I remember Kev telling me that. I remember the conversation. He's taught me that ethic in, or that moral in, or whatever it is. And then I'm spreading that onto my mates. And also just the fact of, you know, stepping up against people and going, no, you're wrong, or a bit of a wet term, but being like a standard to things. You know what I mean? Not just being a sheep or not being compliant. All that's come from Kev, because when he was doing that, I was watching it, and it was like I was appreciating it, and then that's the sort of man I am today.
How different you think your life would be if you hadn't met Kev?
Mate, I'd be a little soy boy. I'd be a little soy boy. I'd be all estrogenic, and I'd be drinking soy milk, and I'd be a vegan probably or something now. But no, that won't be that bad. No, but the Kev effect is massive. Like I said, I was boxing at the time. That was a joke. I would never go down that path. But no, if I never met Kev, I wouldn't be Big Ben Kellock. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be the man I am today. I wouldn't have my confidence. I wouldn't have my head screwed on like I do. So, thank you, Coach.
He's done a lot for the scene. I mean, he doesn't get the credit he deserves a lot of the time for what he's done for Sheffield MMA, and he's definitely a big loss. Obviously training in Sheffield now, definitely a big loss for the scene. Well, we'll wrap up part one there as the meeting's running out, and then we'll jump into part two. So back for part two now. So Ben, so let's go back to MMA and your journey, because I mean, I'm so curious about this, and I'm sure people who follow the amateur scene are. I mean, did you have any intentions in the next year or so to go back into MMA and have a fight?
Yeah, so obviously it's all dependent on obviously I think you might be familiar with the situation that's going on from the plan A about my health defects and everything. But obviously if that's not working out, then yeah, the plan is to compete. I'd have loved to get some amateur boxing at the moment. I got my amateur boxing license and medical sorted. I thought it'd be a lot more being able to jump into fights, you know what I mean? It wasn't as I thought it was going to be. But I just want to compete, man. Obviously, I don't like the fact jiu-jitsu tournaments are just so overpriced, and you basically pay for a pretty medal. I'm not there for someone to pull guard and me to, you know, get a pretty medal. I'm there to compete, and so the plan is to compete, bro, definitely.
So would it be fair to say sort of boxing is more likely than MMA in the next year
then? Either or, mate. It really depends on the MMA situation, and like I said, travel. The nearest MMA gym is not close. And I'm dependent on travel at the moment, and it's not even a train ride away from where the actual gym is, so I can't really facilitate getting there. But it's a bit of my soul missing, bro, when I'm not competing in MMA. You know what I mean? It's my bread and butter. Boxing's cool. I enjoy boxing, but the second I'm getting out of box, in my head, I'm just thinking in a real fight, I'm about to smoke you, bro.
Yeah, you go for the double leg trip, don't you? I mean,
partial to it, mate.
In the ring, I mean, is that just like an instinctual thing when you hurt, obviously, to go for the takedown like you would in MMA? Or is it more like a pride thing as well?
Yeah, a bit of both. It's obviously sparring some lads that's fight boxing, and all the main guys that I spar, I think I've all taken down, which I apologise for afterwards, but it was, bro, it's just what happens, man. It's if I'm getting it stuck on in the ring, in my head, my mum was watching the rounds and they were hard rounds, and all I want to do is basically remind them, I'm here boxing you. You guys are the boxers. In a real fight, I can drag you down to the ground, and obviously maybe that's not appropriate to be doing to your teammates. But I think it's just what you do when you don't know the lad. You go to a new gym and you're losing brain cells, and you're like, oh, you know what? Fuck this. I've got something I can do. Double leg, body lock, whatever it is. Boom. I won't follow through with it, but it's just a takedown. It's just, you know what I mean? It's just like getting dropped in it, I suppose.
A little warning to him, Ben.
That's it, mate. It's just basically showing them if me and you pop up out there, I'm going to get on your hips within a millisecond. I'm going to drag you to the mat, and then it's I'm going to drown you.
Because you come from MMA, do you think when you go into these boxing? I mean, I've never been into a boxing gym and sparred boxers. And obviously, there's boxers come into our gym and sparred. A bit different when you're in the Lions Den, as a boxer yourself. But I do respect when boxers come in. I mean, look, shout out Lee Connolly come into our gym and stood toe to toe with our guys, and a great fight, great spar with you as well.
Yeah, Lee's an animal. Yeah, I have a lot of respect for Lee. He went in there just to learn. You know, I mean, I remember I was padding him, and I was like, "Oh yeah, you box," and he was like, "Yeah, I box." And you know, he wasn't telling me he was a professional, wasn't telling me he fought like Luke Campbell and all this. And then I end up boiling down to, "Oh, you're a professional boxer." And you know, the guy was good, and I really wish Lee did a bit more MMA because he had that natural sort of fighting brain, and because he was so experienced, he saw shots and he saw movements. But yeah, like I said, I do really enjoy getting in with the boxers. I do really enjoy it. Obviously, Ben Morton.
Do you think they go after you more because you're an MMA guy? Do you want to make a point?
I think they go after. I think they go after.
I'm not saying
more.
specific people. I just think boxers in general, really, when you're in the gym.
Yeah. Obviously, I've been to quite a few boxing gyms. It's different in different ones. Some ones they really want to prove a point. Other ones they don't. Like I said, I sparred like Ben Morton from Spire. He's a good body that I sparred. Very good boxer. And I think it's also just with two young game lads who, like he made a joke last time I sparred to him. He said something like, "Robbie's not here, so we'll go nice and easy." And I went, "Mate, easier said than done. The second one of us gets hit, it's on. You know what I mean? We've got that. We need someone there to drag us apart." So that's all it is, mate. It's just I have fun with it. I like it. I enjoy it. I walk off with a smirk on my face. I like it, but. Boxing's a good sport. I think it gets quite disrespected, you know. I think a lot of MMA guys and jiu-jitsu guys.
I think we was guilty a little bit during the MMA days. I mean, I definitely grew a lot more respect for it, especially seeing you jump in there more. And I did a few sessions with Matt as well. I definitely grew a bit more respect for it. I think when you're in the MMA jiu-jitsu bubble, you just think sort of you're untouchable, really. I mean, in the MMA one, you are, but in the jiu-jitsu, I mean, we were talking about this the other day. A jiu-jitsu guy versus a boxing guy. Although I think the jiu-jitsu guy would win, who's tougher? Part of the boxing guy.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I think, I mean, it all depends on the style of jiu-jitsu. What I appreciate about being an MMA fighter is I can go to a Muay Thai gym, I can go to a kickboxing, a wrestling, a jiu-jitsu gym, wherever I am, I can give everyone, you know, a tough time, you know, wherever the fight takes place, which I think, you know, fun of mine. I can just go to different places and have fun. But I do think with a lot of jiu-jitsu guys is obviously we came from pro MMA, which was definitely a sort of kickboxing jiu-jitsu gym, definitely a jiu-jitsu gym, obviously ties with SBG, and it was an SBG affiliated gym. However, the main emphasis was on top pressure, wrestling, offensive wrestling on the wall. Obviously, Kevin wished to come out with when on top, stay on top, and all those golden rules. And the emphasis was all about getting on top, staying on top, and smashing on top. So I do think I think some jiu-jitsu guys need to be careful. I think if they lack wrestling and the way they close distances by looking away and trying to get hold of the person, a good boxer like you know, George Thorpe, Spy Boxing, I think he's 16-0 or something insane.
Yeah, he's making some moves. I was going to ask you about him. Is he good?
Oh, mate, he's amazing. He's incredible. And if a guy like that, you know, cracks a jiu-jitsu guy and obviously a lot of boxers are in better shape, they're more athletic, they train harder compared to a competitive jiu-jitsu guy who just sits on their ass and tries to butt scoot. A guy like George Thorpe, if he connects on you and you're not MMA fighter, you're not used to taking shots and you can't close a distance with a blast double, it's going to be a hard time. Don't just think because in UFC 1 they managed to do it, you're going to be able to do it if you're just a pure jiu-jitsu guy. So I do think there's a bit of disrespect towards boxing. And I feel like I can talk about both because I'm a blue belt in jiu-jitsu and I can give boxers 8 rounds, and I'm an MMA fighter, so I'm in the middle.
If someone wanted to like start off, Ben, what would you say would be the best one for him to start off in, you know, to like get into fighting?
I would have given different answers at different times in my life. Obviously, if you could, I'd say mixed martial arts. However,
if he was coming to mixed martial arts, though, like if he was coming to mixed martial arts after you've done this, what would you think?
Yeah, I'd say all depends on your age. I don't think no 7-year-old needs to be punched in the head. I'd say if you're an 18-year-old, I'd actually probably say start a striking sport, start Muay Thai, start boxing, get comfortable there, understand range and distance, and that dog. Like I said, a lot of jits guys like that, get up and go on that meanness, as a lot of boxers don't. And then I'd say, or obviously wrestling. Wrestlers certainly don't like that dog. So I'd say either boxing or wrestling to start off with, and then I'd obviously a jack of all trades. You know what I mean? Get stuck in with it all.
Definitely Sambo. Sambo.
That's it.
If jiu-jitsu is easy.
Exactly. Don't neglect strength and conditioning and all. That's another thing I say to young lads. You know what I mean? If you're going to do jiu-jitsu and you can deadlift 200 kg compared to if you can do jiu-jitsu and you can't even deadlift your body weight, I know who my money's on.
Really? What you pick the bodybuilder over the
oh no, I didn't say that. I said if two guys were starting jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
So obviously, I have some guys who come into the gym who have got a little bit of experience, but they're an athlete. You know what I mean? They're fit, they're strong, they're powerful. One guy came in who was an ultramarathon runner, lifts weights, really just athletic guy. And you know what I mean? Like you have to put your A game on. He's not just a guy who you can just. He was no bodybuilder. The guy was an ultramarathon David Goggins-esque sort of bad dude. But you can't just go in there and think and just pussyfoot around it. A guy like that you could attack. So I definitely say if you're going to get into something, make sure you're still your nutrition's right, you're lifting weights, you're running, you're physically fit, you're sprinting, and then I'd say boxing or wrestling.
Definitely. But while we're on the boxing jiu-jitsu debate, obviously, I don't think you'd have watched it, but I'll ask you anyway. The Dylan Dennis Logan Paul fight, obviously, Dylan Dennis played quite a few pranks in there, messing about really for the whole thing. I thought it was funny because he was fighting Logan Paul, who I don't particularly like that much. So I thought that was actually funny, antically. What did you make of the whole fight? And it wasn't really a fight, really. The whole sort of circus of that fight. It was.
I'm a huge fan of Dylan Dennis. I think he's the man.
Yeah,
I think he's the bad guy. He owns it. I like Dylan. I've always liked Dylan. I would say, I said to my mates actually before the fight, I said, don't be surprised if Dylan goes in there and he shoots on him and he gets it stuffed. I like, don't be surprised.
Logan can wrestle, yeah.
I said that before the fight. When Logan can wrestle, I think he's an all-state wrestler, and he's once again, like I said, he's an athletic phenom. So I did say, don't be surprised. Dylan's not the most athletic guy. He's not the best wrestler. So especially, obviously, we do shoot box rounds. MMA guys can wrestle and shoot in big gloves, but he's not got little gloves he can get little grips on or wrap the head with better. So I wasn't surprised he got his takedown stuffed. Yeah, so it was like you said, it was a circus. I didn't watch it. I would have never paid for it. If you paid for it, that's pathetic. But
cheers, mate. I'll go.
Yeah, I tell you something. I felt bad that I watched it for free. Like I wasted my time. That's how bad it was. I couldn't believe it. I honestly couldn't believe it. I felt robbed watching it for free, Ben. Like that's how bad it was. Like, yeah, complete waste of time.
Bro, I paid for it. I felt.
I can't believe that, Charlie.
The thing is, I like the whole Misfits scene. I mean, the two main events were terrible, but the fights before that, they were actually pretty decent if you actually get
Slim was. Yeah, Slim was good. Yeah, Slim was good, to be fair.
You know what? I watched all the interviews and I watched the face-to-face and I watched the live sector because I'm a fan of Dylan. You know what I mean? That's the only reason why I did all that. But I think, I think he obviously MMA is his thing. He's calling for the UFC now, which I think is a
big league.
I can't see him getting on the Dana White Contender Series because he's too big of a name. But then equally, you don't really hear of a 2-0 guy from Bellator who's fought 2 nobodies getting into the UFC. But equally, they ain't Dylan Dennis. So
he's
got a mouth though, hasn't he? So he can sell, and Dana will be seeing that and thinking, even if we put him up against a nobody, he can sell a fight. You know what I mean? So it's just that his mouth. He's a bit like Chael Sonnen, to be fair, but Chael Sonnen could actually fight.
No, exactly, and I don't think there's an easy fight for him. I really don't. There's a lot of good jits guys in the UFC, and there's a lot of good jits guys in the UFC who are also incredible strikers, twice the athlete, and twice the wrestler. So if he goes to the UFC, don't expect him to be, the pound for pound number one and anytime soon. Definitely not.
That's why I was a bit disappointed he didn't take it more seriously, because that was actually a great opportunity for him to develop his striking for when he goes back to MMA. And Ben Askren was the same. I mean, that was a great chance for you to actually make your hands a bit better, because there was both things Dylan Dennis was lacking in MMA. We both seen it. He fought a tomato can in his first fight and got pieced up by that guy. I mean, that was a great time and opportunity to actually develop your hands. If you got knocked out, you got knocked out. But at least you had a go. I wish you'd had a bit more of a go. I do love Dylan, like yourself. I think he's good for the sport. I think he's a master at staying relevant without actually doing anything.
Exactly.
Which is very hard to do as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in the UFC. I mean, just finally on this sort of topic, because I know you're not hugely keen on it. What do you make of the whole YouTube boxing stuff? Obviously, as a purist yourself, you come through boxing at first. What do you make of the whole YouTube boxing?
I think I'd slap them all up, mate. I think I'd batter them all. I think, I'm not impressed. I think they're all entertaining guys. I can see why some little 13-year-old with his prime can, is getting all crazy for it. But none of us are. Well, obviously you did journalism, and one of the reasons I was, following it, because I saw, you were into it and you were sharing it, you were into
those good numbers.
Cool. Yeah, definitely, and that was great to see you doing it. It was a big event, no doubt. But in terms of the demographic of fans, they're not real fight fans, obviously. But then saying that, I didn't watch it, but they would have all watched that over the UFC that was on that night, or the boxing that was on that night, which shows that it talks. But I don't know what to tell you. If I got called up and paid $500,000 to fight one of them, of course I would. You know what I mean? I'd do it for free. I don't think that they're real fighters. I don't think it's that impressive.
I agree with you, Ben. I can't stand it personally. Like, I honestly can't stand it. I just think it's a bit of a joke, especially the way how they make of it. And like a cage for the face off and everything. And then Big John, I mean, it were hilarious to be fair, but flipping the table over and then they were spitting at each other and everything. I think like the entire, and then KSI ended up hugging for most of the fight. Like it would just, I think it's embarrassing for boxers, like who's took it all their life seriously and everything. And then they're getting paid like $4 million for obviously making a joke of the sport, really.
It does bring in numbers though, and obviously as you mentioned, Ben, there's not fight fans who tune in to watch it, majority of them. But hopefully, some of them do tune in can then obviously just subscribe to the Zone, and the Zone obviously put matchroom shows on and other promotions as well. Hopefully, then they look at that. Oh, I watched that Caterell Linares on Saturday, would have just been pretty of a shit fight, just but not a good example. But hopefully, they just sort of grasp onto it and to see maybe if they actually like traditional boxing. I think that's the hope that people can have. But it is dangerous if people want to see that over like UFC and boxing, because let's not get it straight. They're the proper fights. That's where the proper business.
Especially with boxing right now. Obviously, there've been some massive fights this year, like Crawford versus Bench. You've had Canelo versus Charlo. You've had Fury versus Dion. Not Fury, sorry, Usyk versus Dion. You've had like massive fights this year. So there's been kind of like a resurrection for boxing this year, kind of. But obviously, UFC put them on monthly, don't they? These massive fights. So boxing's still got a long way to go.
Do you watch boxing, Ben? Do you watch like the fights and that?
I don't, mate. No. I will watch them obviously the next day or the following weeks, but I won't watch them live. No. I'll always prioritize a very mid Apex UFC card over a big boxing card. I don't think I really can't think of all the boxing you just named, Joe. I've not watched any of those live. I don't plan on either. I have a lot of respect for them, but obviously say again.
Put it blunt, my lad. Tell us straight.
Exactly. I saw on social media like tag team boxing.
Oh, that's just ridiculous.
That's awful. It'll be fun to play with your mate in the garden. You know what I mean? But there's a pay-per-view for fuck's sake. Like, what are you doing? But
it's like wrestling. It's like wrestling, and it's like WWE.
Fucking awful. Pathetic.
I think the thing with boxing, I mean, I've watched a few more now, so I'm getting into the boxing report and stuff. But before I was the same as Ben, I would always watch the UFC over boxing because they're just better fights, a better match all the time than these boxing shows. And it's the same amateur as well. I mean, there was an amateur show recently locally. I won't name it. There was basically matching up really good boxers against these absolute tomato cans, and it happens at top level as well. Like there's a lot of time, a lot of these fights aren't competitive. They're just like, it's a journeyman fighting a prospect who needs to get another number on his record. And like it's just so depressing sometimes. I mean, even like the one on Saturday, obviously I don't think you'll know it, Ben, but Jack Catterall fought Jorge Linares, and Jorge Linares is well past his best, and it's basically like best way Dustin Poirier fighting. Think of like a retired lightweight, BJ Penn, for example. Justin Poirier. No, not that extreme. Not
Not
that extreme. If you don't know Joe, Andy Nunn's like this guy in amateur MMA and pro. He's a highly skilled international fighter. Basically, he just goes in there to lose against guys. He's just honestly like the guy. If you want to get a win on your record, you're not beating him, just retire. Just
I
with
think
that.
I think boxing just cherry picking in it. I think like they've got to like UFC, like you have to fight the contenders. You can't duck. Like in boxing, there isn't these like rankings where it's dominated by like one person. You've got the WBC, the IBF, the WBO. You've got like 4 things, and you've got like
Nightmare.
4 titles. It's ridiculous. Like I think they need to could do with like restructuring it in a few years, to be honest.
It's a nightmare.
Because obviously UFC's took it over, and it like by far.
Massively. Here's the difference between amateur boxing and amateur MMA. You'll get an amateur boxer, for example, probably 13 and 0, fighting an absolute tomato can. But then look at you fought Kamas Jacob. That's a 50-50 fight. You both went at it. You almost submitted him, but it's a 50-50 fight. That's what amateur fight should be all about, isn't it?
Obviously, without mentioning the absolute 7.7 kg of water and 40 hours before the fight without refueling. But anyway, just thought I'd put that in there.
Yeah, I mean that's the toughest moment of your career. That weight cut.
I'd say so. Yeah, the water load. It did exist. It certainly did exist, but my nutrition got messed up a little bit, and there was just too much salt in my body, and I was not sweating the water out. And 7.7 in 40 hours. And if you obviously back then I didn't have much muscle. Muscle stores.
You were a young lad.
You can extract. And I was a small 16-year-old. And yeah, it annoyed me, mate, because obviously he's a very respectable guy. He's a sick fighter. But you do a big camp. I was meant to fight in a smaller show, and it was like, we're wasting this fight. Come on, let's get it on the cage deal. Doncaster Arena, and then obviously just to have a good camp. Obviously, there was a lot of the coaching issues, and I got removed from the gym a few times and whatever. But then to then have all that camp, just to have all that, it just
I think for one a couple for your own doing, but one was a bit more. A couple for your own doing.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then obviously just have a tough camp, which then just to fuck it all up and to just basically backtrack in a disgusting weight cut. But I laughed at getting removed from the gym because that was just too common.
Are you annoyed that you're probably not going to fight him again? Because you could beat him. You really could beat him. I watched that fight.
Big, mate. I'm too big.
No, exactly. That's why I say you're not going to fight again because he's so light. You're so big now, and that was a great matchup. But you wasn't at your best. I mean, you was completely. There was a skeleton going in there. He was completely drained of all cardio because of that weight cut. And as you mentioned with that podcast with Joe, which I thought was quite telling. If you remember this, Joe, he said he thought the fight was over after the weigh-in.
Yeah.
Let alone he's got an absolute beast to fight tomorrow.
I didn't have a team the week before, which is obviously why the issue with the weight. So
we were sat in spoons, if you remember, trying to figure out how we're going to cut his weight.
Yeah, obviously just to mention we went drinking in spoons. I was there like a little.
It was a booze.
Like a little victim. But yeah, like I said, I'm a lot of respect for the guy. It's just annoying because you perform in front of so many people, then so many people got behind that fight, and then just to have, like I said, in an excuse, but weight cut is a bitch, especially when it goes wrong and you're so young, and you almost, when it's so tough, you feel like the fight's over. You feel like all your focus is making weight, and once you've made weight, you're not even thinking, yeah, I've got a fight tomorrow. But like I said, I respect to the guy, and I love to get some training.
Was he stronger than you thought when you engaged? Because we was always talking about it all through camp. Your wrestlings were the best in sort of town, easily, comfortably at the time as well, and probably still is. I mean,
you wouldn't have thought it though, would you? When you how depleted I was and how weak I was. But
no, I mean, did he feel stronger, or was it just a lack of sort of cardio and just pressure you felt in your own body?
Obviously he's going to be strong in here. Like everyone's strong. Well, I mean not everyone, but like every fighter in the cage is strong. Yeah, it's just annoying, bro. It pisses me off speaking about it. But yeah, he's a strong lad. I wasn't at my best. Yeah, it's just yeah, he was strong. I think I just toward the second round and onwards, it was more a matter of survival. And the time when a fight goes from you're in a fight to you're trying to survive, it's a losing battle because you're not fighting to win, you're fighting to survive. So you're not changing your position to sub the guy because you're on bottom mount and you've got your wrist trapped. You're on the bottom trying to, so the ref don't jump in. You know what I'm saying? And then when your whole priority changes to you're fighting to hear that round go so you can restart back on your feet, it's not great for your psyche, is it? So it's annoying because I'll never be able to get the fight back again. But I love to get some training in it, and a lot of respect for the guy. And I hope the guy has the best career. And he's a very respectful guy, a top fighter. He's got his brother is equally as skilled.
Would you fight him? That'd be probably similar, right? Would you fight Ed?
I reckon I'm too big, mate.
You think you're too big? Well, he's a welterweight, isn't he?
I don't believe so.
Or is he lighter than that?
If he is, mate, then definitely. Like I said, I'm very respectful for both of the brothers, and I'm lucky to have two guys like brothers that I can just get after it and chase the goals down. Yeah,
it's a respect. You want to fight. You want to fight them because you know how good they are. It's a competition thing, isn't it?
Totally, mate. No, I'm not really a disrespectful guy. If someone obviously steps to me being insulted, then there we go. But with those sort of guys, definitely not. They're there to.
They're the future of amateur MMA.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are strong guys.
For sure. Well, what's next for you, Ben? Anyway, what's next now in the plans? Obviously, we've had the. I don't want to go into detail because obviously a lot of it's private, but we've had the minor setback with Plan A. What are you looking into now? What's next for you?
I think it's a tough question to answer without having to. I think you know what it is. I think it's almost doing the whole thing a disservice by saying you could have done it, but you can't because of health defects. You know what I mean? So, obviously, I've got a heart condition I didn't know I had, which really limited my next stage. So I'm getting all that sorted. I'm getting my scans and my evidence to help that. And then obviously we spoke about. I'm really eager on doing cuts, mate. One running cuts and see what that's all about.
Yeah, I mean, I remember speaking on the phone. I never heard you sound so deflated, even after a fight when you've lost. And when you told me the news, I mean, how down did you feel? I know you're not obviously you're not a massive guy to get sort of mentally down, but I mean, you was down after that, wasn't you? Yeah,
I was quite a stoic guy, but yeah, after that, obviously, it did feel like you lost the fight because essentially it did. And it was something where it was not a lack of preparation. You know what I mean? I was fit as a fiddle. I was in my peak shape. It was a matter of something completely out of my control. So yeah, obviously I appreciate the phone call. It was good speaking to you after that. But yeah, we move. All you got to do is you get your head down and you grind.
Did you ever feel like it'd interfere with your future, Ben? Was you worried about that?
Oh, well, it certainly did and certainly has. Yeah, obviously, it's the only reason I don't want to speak about it. I'm a very open guy. Is only because I think it's doing it a disservice to the organisation and the thing rather than myself. So it's not to do with that. I don't want to speak about it. I don't want to speak about the guys who are in there and doing it. If you know what I'm getting at. Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, the crazy thing about that is, and I still say it now, is although obviously it was big, what it affected, you wasn't even bothered about the health actual thing in terms of your actual health itself. That's what I thought was crazy. You didn't care at all. Like you was tough minded you are. And that is the mindset you got to have, haven't you? I'd rather have never. Like I don't care personally. I'm not going to lose sleep at night about that. I'm perfectly fit. I do my sprints. I do my long runs. If I ever felt an issue, I'd put it down to you're working hard, you're digging deep. Nature of the game. You know what I mean? Push harder. For the final part of the podcast, we're going to ask some more fun questions. We'll move away from this topic, but I appreciate you speaking about it as open as you can. So what I would say is the first question I've got is if you had to give yourself a piece of advice when you first started MMA, what would you give yourself now? A young Ben Kellock, 14, starts training full time with Kev at the shared unit at first. We didn't touch on that. It was a shared unit at first. What would you give advice to Ben? Oh mate, that's a very good question. I put it with you my best answer right now. My advice would be to be able to steer future Ben into a place where the gym's not going to get shot and shot as drastically. So it would probably be to give advice to basically give advice so Parada could have been one of the biggest gyms in the country at that point and we could have the best fighters. So I don't really know what the advice directly would be. It would be something about telling myself something which then I'd be able to make sure the gym didn't shut down and what all the Parada boys would be. There'd be more Parada boys and would be better and bigger and badder and would be taking over the scene. So it'd be something about the gym not being shut down, certainly. Do you think, just to follow up on that before I ask another question, I think that's a standard question. Do you think there was sort of some untapped potential with Parada then? Is that what you think? you'd be a fool not to think that. I'm hopefully the gym will reopen sometime in the
Yeah,
future.
do you ever think it'll come back? I mean, how much would that mean for it to come back? I mean, it'd be the greatest day of my life for sure.
I think it's destined to come back.
It's been mentioned quite a bit recently, hasn't it? I feel like it's being teased even more and more recently.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep planting seeds and brains about that, and just hopefully they'll start growing, and pro that MMA will return, and man, that'll be the happiest day of my life. It will be.
Joe, do you have a question before my next one?
No, shoot on. I'll ask one after.
So, if you had to have dinner with 3 people and get advice of 3 people around the table, sort of any advice on anything really, it could be the women, it could be fitness or anything really. Who would it be? 3 people. I would know one, but 3 people.
3 people. It would be from any time, any point in time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably Leonardus, the commanding officer of the Spartan army that took them into the Battle of Thermopylae at 60 years old, I believe, when he had 300 Spartans and a group of Athenians against Xerxes' never-ending force. I think that's one of the most badass guys to ever walk this planet.
This man knows his history.
I do. His battle strategies, his ethics, his mindset. I think a lot of people could learn from him, and that's why he's on my wall there. It says, "Tonight we dine in hell," which apparently that's what he said before the Battle of Thermopylae. So Leonardus is on the list. In this generation, you've got to have big David Goggins, right?
Well, I knew you'd say him, obviously.
Yeah, we've got to have David Goggins. Just the domino effect, and I quote a lot of things in my head and I'm getting after it. So be able to have things he's directly said to me and me personally would be pretty badass. And the third one, I would like my coach Kev there. Obviously, that's my coach, like a father figure. And obviously, I think it'd just be cool to share the experience with him. If it was someone else, I like being controversial. I'll probably get cancelled for this in 10 years, but I'd say top G, Andrew Tate, why not? Pissed off all the shallow white girls.
My mate is like our mate Kean, which is gonna love that. He's a Andrew Tate idol. He loves Andrew Tate, and honestly, Andrew Tate's changed his life. Ben, like I say, people take the mick out of him for liking Andrew Tate, but Kean didn't do anything. Now he started Muay Thai, been doing Muay Thai 3 months. He goes to the gym every single day. He started his own business. He got out of his 9 to 5 and started his own business. All from watching Andrew Tate. That's a domino effect.
Respect. Maybe I'll have Kean there instead. Then I don't know.
For sure. Do you have a question, Joe?
Yeah, so Ben, like I know so much about history. Like, when did that all happen? When you got into it about Leonardus and everything? Like, what drew you to that?
I'm one of them guys where if I watch a film or if I get into something, I'll end up, I'll be on Wikipedia or I'll read a book or I'll get really into it. Also, I'm quite a, I do academia. I came out of my A levels, came out with ABC. So I do like academia. I'm not despite getting punched in the head. I like to think that I'm somewhat of a smart guy. I read a bit. So obviously when I watched 300, I was like, right, I need to decipher the history buffs in this, and I need to see what's fact. And obviously, very quickly you learn the battle of Thermopylae at the Hot Gates, and obviously the first battle they suffered no casualties, and then obviously their push and their just relentless force and their courage ended up the whole of the other Greek states stepping up, which then made Xerxes' force stand down, and then they ended up obviously, and that battle and that war could have had if they lost that could have had effect on Western democracy today as we know it. Obviously, the Persian army, all they wanted to do was enslave people, and murder the military-age males and the young babies and the young lads. So that has a great impact in today's society. So why not learn about it?
Do you think in a different lifetime you could have ever been an historian or something?
I think I could have been a Spartan. I'd be there in the 300.
You can be that now if you want.
Yeah, mate, I would have been the one that survived, though. I would have been that guy. No, but to be a Spartan, mate, fucking, that's like, if I had to be any time in history, I'd be a Spartan, absolutely. Rock up to the Hot Gates with my sword and the shield. Tonight we dine in hell. I'll come out with my own gangster quote, and then some kid would have it on the wall, like me.
Amazing. Just to finish, Ben, I mean, I've got other questions. I think this is like a nice way to end. What's the best moment in your life to date?
These are big questions. Best moment in my life. Bro, feel time pressured.
I mean, I'll tell you mine then to give you a bit of time to think. I mean, probably mine would be when I landed the first journalism job, because obviously we all know I've been working at it for years and years, and everyone talks about going straight to the national level of MMA and sort of football and only focus on that. I started I can definitely say hold my hands up. I started in grassroots level in a football and MMA. I was interviewing Teddy Stringer after his second fight. I was interviewing you after your first fight. Tom Key ahead of his first fight. And in football, I did the women's team in Chesterfield, literally back arses of nowhere. So that would definitely be mine. Do you have one, Joe? We'll let Ben think. He's got that many.
Obviously, because probably for me, probably getting into uni, because obviously I was kind of like dead and out. I would say I didn't have many good grades. I was in college for 5 years. I wasn't the smartest kid, so for me, overachieving and getting into uni is probably like my biggest moment and one of my favorites personally.
Good man. It's refreshing to hear you that boys. I like hearing that.
What about you, Ben?
To give
you're not getting out of it.
I know. I'll put up my best answer right now. To give you a bit of a satirical one, probably the second night in Magaluf, and that was documented on Come On the Boys' private story. So if you know, you know.
I don't know if we had to go into that, do we?
Why not? I'm joking. No, I'll lose my girlfriend's mate if we go into that. But yeah, it'd have to be after a fight, especially potentially my first boxing win, because it was my first sort of ever. Obviously, you're so young as well, so it's so insane, and you're so much more nervous. And I had a big home crowd, and it's you versus me, and it's your first time ever doing that sort of stuff. So your first time warming up, your first time walking out. I had the custom Big Ben chimes as I walk out into some rap, going out as a kid, fucking feeling it, putting the guy out. Obviously, that's pretty insane. I remember once also I thought I had a 20 hours notice fight, wasn't training, stepped up 20 hours notice. I went to Rotherham and I thought this home kid on this home show, and I was so nervous for that one. Obviously, everyone there knew this guy's name, and everyone there was supporting this kid. This little, the little golden boy or whatever.
Did you win this?
And I knocked him out in 20 seconds, 30 seconds, knocked him out. I just planted my feet and I had this nervous energy. I I planted my feet and just threw I threw left and I doubled up twice to the right, bam, bam. And he just dropped. And then just that sort of adrenaline rush, because you're so nervous as well, and you just plant your feet and you just think, fuck this. And then it's on my Instagram somewhere at the bottom, and I planted my feet, bombed them a few times, and the crowd just went silent. I thought, yeah, fuck yeah. You know what I mean? They're the moments you live for, innit? But there'll be some other moments I can't think of right now. Yeah, it's a tough question, that, mate. I would have had to pre-prepare to answer that one.
That's the buzz. Well, honestly, Ben, what a pleasure. We've been talking about this for God knows how many years since this podcast started about getting you on, and I think this is actually the perfect time to actually get you on, because you've been through so many highs and lows as well, which is important also to talk about. So thanks for joining us, mate. Much appreciated.
No worries, mate. I've had a great time. Thank you, lads, for having me. Great hosts.